This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 16 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show, Fox Hunting in America and England.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They'll bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
I am Glenn the Geek.
And I am Helena B, and this is the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Happy Thanksgiving to all our friends in the States. Can you believe it's Thanksgiving already, Helena?
I can.
You can. I know. This year has flown by so fast, but it's so exciting to be at Thanksgiving already. Pretty soon it'll be Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm totally excited about the whole holiday season, but I'm just going to go with the flow.
Well, I know why you're excited for Thanksgiving, and that's there's something that happens in your life every Thanksgiving that you look forward to. Tell us what that is.
Well, coming up this Thanksgiving, we had, since I ride out with the Myopia Hounds, we've got the great, big, happy Thanksgiving Myopia Hunt.
And for everybody who didn't know what you said there, that's a fox hunt that they do on Thanksgiving Day. And
Did I neglect to say it was
a
fox
hunt? You sort of neglected that, but it's a fox hunt that they do on Thanksgiving Day, and that's what today's show is about, fox hunting. Or chasing. I see now that they're calling it fox chasing.
Yeah, that seems to be the politically correct term. I find that becoming popular down in the Mid-Atlantic area.
Oh, really? Fox chasing? Okay.
Yeah, we don't chase. We chase. Ours is a drag. So
yeah,
we
you chase an
them.
Imaginary scent that the hounds think is something important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Booze.
Booze.
We have our own special kind of hound up here. It's called a booze hound. No, that's not funny. It is funny.
All right. In the spirit of being thankful, though, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank all our fans and listeners from around the world. Every week we've added new listeners. The last two episodes where we did the Christmas episodes and the Christmas gift buying episodes are by far the most listened to episodes, and we appreciate everybody that joined us for that. You know, we started the Horse Radio Network as a way to build a community, in this case a podcast community, and it's for people all over the world. We now have listeners all over the world in many countries, and that's one of the nice things about horses is it eliminates all barriers. It eliminates cultures and everything else. If you're a horse lover, you're a horse lover, and that's really why that's why you and I wanted to do this in the first place.
That's right.
And it's happening, and we're thankful to everybody who listens, and we encourage you to tell your friends and family about us, and let's keep building this horse community and make it grow.
And get involved. We want to hear from you, too. You know, we've got voicemail, we've got email. We want to hear what you have to say, and then we'll just spit it right back at you. And it makes for an entertaining podcast.
And they can reach us. You can email us with any thought or suggestion, whatever, at geeks, Geeks, at horseradionetwork.com. Or you can give us a voicemail at 270-803-0025. And I did want to mention one other thing. We have 3 different giveaways going on at the same time right now on the Horse Radio Network. We have the 2010 giveaways that happen over at the 2010radioshow.com. And you have one more week. This is the last week to enter for the November giveaway. And we always give away cool 2010 World Equestrian Games merchandise. So check it out at 2010radioshow.com and sign up over there. And then at Stable Scoop, our show, we have 2 giveaways going on right now. Rods is giving away a bunch of the Christmas gift options that we talked about in last week's show, and so is Equestrian Collections. And you can find the sign-ups for both of those over at stablescoop.com, so be sure to sign up.
And we also list the full, what the products are for the giveaways.
Right, and take a listen to those shows if you missed them. They were a lot of fun.
They were a lot of fun. It was like virtual shopping for me. I'm still getting those overalls, you know.
We'll talk about that a little later, too. I got 60 entries for the pink overalls. So hopefully at the end of the show we can read a couple of them if we have time.
That'd be great. That makes me want to go out right now. Right now.
I know. Doesn't that sound familiar?
Oh, if there wasn't a hurricane going on right now, I'd be out there hunting. Or maybe I need a horse first, but
yeah, that might help.
There.
Well, you can hilltop.
I can without a horse. Yeah, all right. Well, today's show we're talking about fox hunting or fox chasing. Yes, Glenn calls it my big week, but he makes it sound like I'm the only person who's ever fox hunted ever. It is a big week for those of us up here in Massachusetts. It's the hunt that I subscribe to is the Myopia Hunt, and this Thanksgiving Day is probably the biggest hunt of our season. It is the Thanksgiving hunt. It happens on Thanksgiving morning.
And we have to tell everybody that this is not just a day for those of you that hunt. There are thousands of spectators that line the backcountry roads to watch this thing.
Yeah, thousands might be a stretch. Hundreds probably.
It seemed like it.
It is as much fun to watch as it is to ride in. So, and the social aspect of it is just phenomenal. And actually, I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Our special guest today, we had a great interview with a fellow by the name of Alistair Jackson, and he's the director of the Masters of Foxhounds Association in the UK. And he was just a wealth of information about fox hunting history, the MFHA in the UK, what their job is. We talked a little bit about the debate over anti-hunting legislation and where England is now with regard to hunting. He had a couple of words of wisdom for us. So that's coming up a little bit later in the show. And then we have a special co-host today. This is a friend of mine. Her name is Cami Beckman. And Cami is also a subscriber to the Myopia Hunt. She's also the volunteer coordinator for the Hunt Events Committee. And that committee's job is basically to get as many people involved in the hunt as possible, volunteering their time, which is no small task. So welcome to Cami.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you on here. We're hoping that you can give us some of the juice that goes on behind the scenes.
Hi, Cami.
Absolutely. Anything I can help with.
Hi, Cami.
Hi, Glenn. How are you?
All right. I probably watched you hunt a couple of years ago when I was up there for the Thanksgiving hunt. I was one of those people alongside the road.
Oh, yeah.
Watching you all go by. And it is an amazing sight to see. And you usually get, about 125, 150 riders on Thanksgiving Day.
It's definitely one of the biggest.
It is amazing to see you come across the field, see the hounds come across, and then the redcoats. I call them the redcoats. I don't know what they're called. But
stop it, the redcoats.
To see the redcoats coming and then everybody else following along, it is just amazing to see. It is.
Cami, would you like to correct him or should I?
You can go ahead.
Well, I already got my warning today not to call them dogs. I did get that warning. My wife warned me of that this morning. She said, remember, they're not dogs, they're hounds.
They're hounds.
Right.
That's why we were talking about, hounds. Coats, pink coats, red coats. They're not red coats, they're scarlet. And some people refer to them as pink coats, but not because of the color, because the name of the fellow who first created the coats, his last name was Pink. So they're
I thought maybe
scarlet.
It was because they were drinking too much out of the flask.
That too.
And they were actually pink.
I think if you started yelling the redcoats are coming, they might, take up arms for
especially in Massachusetts.
So, Cami, tell us a little bit about you. How did you get involved in horses, and then how you started riding out with Myopia, and then a little bit about what you do as volunteer coordinator for the hunt.
Oh goodness, that's a whole lot of stuff. Well, I got bitten by the horse bug very young. I think I was 6 or 7. We moved all over the place, so I did every kind of horseback riding imaginable in the West, because I am from the Midwest area. So a little bit of Western saddle. Virginia, spent a lot of time in Virginia, so started in English riding. started doing some cross country, lived in Germany, and I worked. I lived with my family. My father was a military officer, and he was under a man named General Burton, who is quite an equestrian. And so General Burton kind of kept my enthusiasm for riding going while we lived in Germany. And then, I don't know, just kept, I took time off between college and different things, but got back into riding probably 4 years ago, where I discovered fox hunting for the first time.
Ha-ha.
So, and it was,
Aha!
Exactly.
Now the interesting stuff begins.
So yeah, there's something that's completely different about riding cross country to hounds that I think until people try it, they have no idea what a thrill it can be. Would you agree, Helena?
Oh yeah. There's nothing like you wake up on a hunt morning and everything's just a little bit faster, a little bit more exciting. You can feel your blood pressure rising, and I know on hunt mornings I shake to tie my tie. My fingers shake, and I have a little checklist on my kitchen counter. Don't forget your hairnet. Don't forget your pin. Don't forget your boot pulls.
Yeah.
And it's all because of that first, when you hear the horn for the first time, or you set off at a gallop for the first time, or whatever you're going to experience that day. That's it. You just don't know what you're going to experience.
I have to tell you, it's in the blood, too, because my wife heard me putting that little sound effect together with the horns and the hounds.
Yeah.
And that you just heard, and she said, I'm getting goosebumples. So, I think it's just in the blood. Let's tell people a little bit about the history of fox hunting so that we can, and a little bit about how it works. Actually, fox hunting existed in North America since the early colonial days. There were actually the first hounds that were imported was in 1650. Arrived in Maryland, a guy by the name of Robert Brooke came with his family and his hounds, and that was the earliest record of hounds actually showing up here. Actually, the first record of American fox hunting as an organized hunt, as a pack, like you guys ride in, was the 6th Lord Fairfax in 1747 in Northern Virginia. So we've been doing fox hunting for a long time in America. And one of the funny things was that one of the quips I read, George Washington was the first, who was the first president, obviously, was an ardent fox hunter, and he owned his own pack of hounds. And actually, in his diaries, you get a kick out of this. In his diaries, they're laced with references of hunting the foxhound near the nation's capital. And it says in his diaries, on one such occasion while Congress was in session, hounds ran near the Capitol, and many of the congressmen ran outside to watch and hopped on their horses and joined in the chase. So.
Oh yeah, I can see that. That would totally be me.
Yeah, well, can you see that
Flying
happening?
Off the steps of Capitol Hill,
Yeah.
hopping on my mount, taking off the gun.
So even then, the Congress was goofing off and not doing much. So there. And actually, the first Foxhound Club was established in 1826 in Canada. That's the first North American one. And in the United States, it was the Piedmont Foxhounds were established in Virginia in 1840. But I think Myopia was right around then. I think they were.
Myopia was 1882.
Oh, so they were a little bit later. They were actually right after the Civil War then.
Yep.
And actually, both of those packs, the Canadian one and the United States one there in Virginia, are going today. So they're still around. Now, a couple things, too. For a new hunt to be registered and eventually recognized, they must have 12 couples. Can you explain what couples are? Now, we're talking about the hounds here.
Couples
Is that for you, Helena, or for me?
Go ahead, Cami.
A couple. Well, they talk about hounds going out as couples, and so there's always a set basically of hounds. So you count them in twos. So 12 couple would be 24 hounds.
Okay, but they aren't really couples like boyfriend girlfriend. It's just they're all out there together.
They're coupled up.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha.
And oftentimes they'll have an older, more experienced hound I think this is where the term came from. They have an older, more experienced hound who they will couple with a younger hound to sort of show them the ropes.
So it's sort of like having your swimming buddy when you're swimming.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You could say that. Horse husband.
All right, so there are two types of hunts that everybody should be aware of, and that's a drag hunt and a live hunt. And I think I'll let one of you explain the difference there.
Well, a live hunt will follow live quarry like fox or badger in the UK, coyote, sometimes deer. For the most part, I think in the United States, live hunts go after fox and coyote, although there are some hunts that follow wild boar. Like, hello? Where is there a wild boar? But
Maybe
okay.
Texas, Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be Georgia, I think.
Yeah.
I'll have to check the Chronicle of the Horse. They have a good listing.
Georgia's where we got that picture a couple years ago, that a kid that killed the big one that was 1,000 pounds or something.
Oh, a boar?
The wild boar, yeah. So
Well, then that may be where it is, but
Yeah.
So usually it's live quarry, and in the United States, for the most part, fox hunting, the goal is to send the fox to its den, and without a kill. Sometimes it's rare, but it does happen that a pack of hounds will bring a fox to its death, but that is not the goal of live fox hunting in the United States.
Now, the goal of live fox hunting is to go fast and jump high.
Well,
That's what
Why
the
do
goal-
hounds work?
that one comment, Glenn, is going to get us in so much trouble. Cami, maybe you can explain drag hunting for Glenn.
Well, drag hunting is where a scent is laid ahead of time, and it's a bit more organized, I guess, in that somebody actually knows where we're going. And on dewy mornings, when you're out in a field and they say that you hear the hounds on the line, just about to find the line, you can sometimes look across and see where the little ATV vehicle has pulled the scent ahead of time, and you can actually find where the fox is going too.
So that's how they do it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Do we
And
get
they
to see
don't-
tally ho when we see the ATV?
As I
We do
understand,
sometimes chuckle and say,
So-
I think I know where that hound's going.
is it the master that runs the line then, puts it out in the morning?
No, it's usually the huntsman.
The huntsman, okay.
And somebody else in the hunt who just kind of pick the countryside and figure out where to lay the line.
Okay.
Some
they put
hunts,
it down.
some drag hunts have actually a dragsman whose job it is to strategically lay the line to most closely replicate a live hunt.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can actually lay a scent that's like one continuous route, or you can also have, if you've got somebody who's specializing in laying the line, they can lay it so that the hounds actually have to find it and work it, which I think is kind of cool. This is something that I've just recently come to learn.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually 171 organized clubs in North America, which is a lot higher than I thought it was actually. So that's a whole lot, and that's in all of North America. And it exists, actually, there are 35 states and 4 Canadian provinces that have clubs.
Did you get that from the MFHA?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. And the first one, actually, the Masters of, now that you mentioned that, the MFHA is the Masters of Foxhounds Association. It was established here in the United States in 1907. I think that the British one, we'll talk to Alistair about it, but I think that the British one was a little sooner than that. It's funny you mention hounds, because I just got scared here by a hound who put her nose underneath my arm.
That would be a greyhound,
Might
right?
be a greyhound, that's correct. My greyhound just came over and said, "You're talking about hounds? Are we going running?"
Aw.
Little different kind of hounds there, Bam Bam.
Different kind of hounds. Greyhounds are sight hounds.
So the
Get it out.
Yeah, let me try this again. The MFHA actually is the organization that keeps the stud books and keeps track of all the registered clubs and provides the rules and that kind of thing around fox hunting in America. And are you members of the MFHA? Or,
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So the individuals that ride at hunts also become members of the MFHA?
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
You don't have
You don't
to,
have
but
to,
You don't have
right?
to.
it's encouraged.
Okay, but you can become a member. It's not just the clubs that are members, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
individuals you're a member. Yes. You can
All
be.
right, cool. Well, I think we're actually coming up to time. Let's talk to Alistair, see what's going on over there in England, and then we'll come back and talk about hunting in the United States some more.
Great.
Hi, Alistair. How are you in England today?
Very well, thank you, Glenn.
Good. Well, you sound like you're sitting next door to us, and we have an ocean apart. And we're so glad that you were here with us today because, fox hunting is in Helena and I's blood, and we enjoy it. My wife loves fox hunting, and I love watching it. I love hilltopping. So, tell us a little bit about. You're the director of the MFHA, which is the Masters of Foxhounds Association in England. When was that established? Was it the first one?
Yes, it was. We were established 150 years ago, nearly 200 years ago, originally to sort out disputes between hunts when they had boundary disputes. And of course, those were the days when a lot of hunts were organized by individuals who hunted on their own estates, and they would fall out with their neighbor. And the MFHA were brought in to sort those sort of problems out. But of course, under modern conditions, it's very different. We're the administrative body and the governing body of hunting. And pre the temporary ban we're under at the moment, of course, we had the strict rules and disciplinary procedures to make sure the sport was organized properly. And the greater part of our job here is advising masters and hunts on all manner of things, from the technical side of hound management to the management of their countries, and all sorts of technical things such as the regulations for the picking up of fallen stock from the farms, which is a service the hunts provide. And I could go on forever. We're involved in the management of point-to-point racing. And, of course, we run the Foxhound Kennel Stud Book, which has been running for over 200 years, which every foxhound bred in this country can be traced back through those stud books 200 years. And so further in some cases.
I think a lot of people don't realize that there are stud books kept on the hounds, just like there are horses.
The stud book's the foxhound. The foxhound is probably almost certainly the best, most accurately reported and recorded of any breed, of any animal. As I said, the stud books in this office now go back 200 years, and the old family packs, such as the Duke of Beaufort's, will go back a lot further than that. And of course, a lot of your hounds in the States are based on English hounds, and would trace back through our stud books as well.
I just picture these books for some reason being these big open books that you hand wrote with the ink pens. I just picture that for some reason.
I do too, like the monk somewhere.
They are lovely old-fashioned books. One is produced every year with the hounds that are entered by that pack each year, and they are in nice leather-bound volumes.
They're not written by hand anymore, are they?
We are computerized.
Oh,
as well,
okay, just checking.
And we work very closely with the All Masters of Foxhounds Association in America. Colonel Dennis Foster does my job with you, and we're a global really now fox hunting, and we meet several times a year at various things and talk regularly.
Now, how long have you been the director of the MFHA in the UK?
I've been direct 11 or 12 years now.
And what did you do prior to your position?
Well, when I was at school, we had packs of beagles at my school and then at my agricultural college, and I'm afraid that diverted me from a more sensible route in my life, I suspect. So all I was qualified to do at the end of that was to be a Master of Foxhounds. And I did just that. I was a Master of Foxhounds at 21, and I hunted over 25 years, I hunted 5 packs of foxhounds as a master and a huntsman at the same time. And then, of course, when I gave up, I got more involved in the management of hunting. I worked for what was then the British Field Sports Society on their public relations for a short time, and then joined the Masters of Foxhounds Association.
That's actually a lovely progression if you're getting out of the active hands-on part to kind of go into something more administrative. To still be involved.
I think it's important that the person in my shoes has had hands-on experience as a practitioner. Yeah. If you're going to have authority talking to people who are trying to do the job nowadays, under much more difficult circumstances, I might add. I take my hat off to all of them.
Absolutely. Now, do you have member hunts the way we have here in the United States?
We do. We have 184 packs of hounds recognized by the Masters of Foxhounds Association. Of course, on top of that, we have the other hound associations, the deer hounds, the basset hounds, the harriers and beagles, and the mink hounds, etc. So altogether, there are some 400 packs of hounds in this country hunting.
Oh my! Oh my!
So
and the umbrella organization also operates from this office of which I'm director, which is the Council of Hunting Associations, which is perhaps needlessly complicated to tell you, but all those other associations operate under that umbrella, which, while we're in this political situation, does help because we can speak for all of them.
Now, tell us a little bit about that. You've mentioned that twice now. So what we heard a couple of years ago here in America, it was big news that you were having all this legislation and all the debates and all that stuff. How has it ended up, and where are you at now as far as hunting in England, and I guess Scotland and Ireland, too?
Indeed, it doesn't affect Southern Ireland,
Okay.
but this present Labour government, when it was under Prime Minister Blair, brought in the Hunting Act. It was fought for many years by our organisations and the hunts. There were, at one stage, the largest demonstration ever seen in London. Just under 500,000 people walked in London, marched, and I might add a large contingent from the United States came with the Stars and Stripes waving. They were very welcome. And but at the end of it, this act was produced, and as always, it was a blatant example of political prejudice. Blair wanted to get another piece of legislation through, and he was promised that he would get the votes from his left-wing members of Parliament if he gave them the Hunting Act.
So what does the Hunting Act say? What does it not allow you to do?
Well, it's quite complicated. It basically is meant to ban hunting with dogs, they call it.
Okay.
And
the first
big
it's
sin. Completely unworkable. It's unworkable and unfair. We were determined, because it has, there are various hunts at the moment are trail hunting. Officially, they're hunting an artificial scent. They are.
So you can do
exemptions. There's various exemptions under the Act too, which are complicated. But
so,
what it means
Alistair,
is
you can do drag hunts.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Okay.
But the hunts, our priority has been to keep the infrastructure of hunting going. In other words, the kennels, the hounds, the staff, and the people who subscribe to those hunts, with a view to repeal of this act, which doesn't work. What it does, it's totally negative. It puts law-abiding people at risk. It diverts police time from real crime. It has no benefit to the environment. And of course, the bottom line is those people who supported it because they thought they were doing the fox or the other hunted species a favor were quite wrong. It does nothing for the welfare or conservation of the species, because as always, it's the hunter who conserves the species. But the fox in England is every man's enemy except the fox hunters, the people who farm, the people who raise game birds. Now, with hunts very limited in the way they can control foxes, they can, to a certain extent, under these strange exemptions. But because their role is limited, other people have taken it into their own hands, and foxes are shot and snared much more than they were before. And the fox population now is...
You're still allowed to hunt.
The fox population now is much lower than it was before the Hunting Act. We're now entering our fourth season under the Act, but with a general election looming in the next 1.5 years, the opposition party, the Conservatives, have said categorically, and it's in their manifesto, that given the majority, they will repeal the Hunting Act, which is excellent news. And of course, it has given light at the end of the tunnel for everyone here who hunts, and everyone's determined to keep it going.
Okay.
I think it'll be much more difficult.
What do you think would be the greatest change if the act is repealed? What do you think would be the most beneficial change to the hunting community?
Well, hunt would go back to hunting properly, hunting foxes. They would maintain, as they're trying to do now, maintain, as they always did before, a lot of the woodlands and things for the management of foxes to keep, so they know where to find them. The people who've been killing foxes indiscriminately will say, well, hunting's back, we will now leave them. We like to see the hounds find a fox on our farm. So the fox population will rise to a manageable level, because hunting has always just manage the fox population at a healthy level, that's acceptable to those people who have to live in the countryside.
And it's funny because my wife hunted for a number of hunts and live hunts, and the misconception that people have is that every time you go out you find and kill a fox. That's not true. She would go out a whole season and they would see one fox. You don't always see fox.
Well, here in the U.S.
Here in the U.S. anyway.
The United States is quite different, but the management of foxes in England is more important, funnily enough, than the States, because of the intensive stock farming here, I suspect, and the game rearing as well, of game birds for shooting. And the actual culling of the fox population in the States has never been a priority. It is rather different. But basically, the sport is the same, because people, as you know, by going out hunting, people go out for a lot of reasons. They go for access to private land they wouldn't be allowed on otherwise. They go, some of them, to watch the skill of the huntsman and the hounds, hunting a wild animal by scent. They go for the thrill of jumping fences.
I was going to say, most of them go for the thrill of riding fast and jumping high.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's the age-old question. Do you ride to hunt, or do you hunt to ride?
Well, some people, and that's always been the case, some people do one and some people do the other. But by far, most of them hunt to ride. But of course, hunting a drag is it's nothing. Someone said it's like kissing your sister. It's not unpredictable. I mean, hunting a wild animal, you can have a fast hunt one day and run miles. You can do very little another day. It depends on the elements, the weather, and the wild animal. And it's much more of a challenge. But of course, what people don't go hunting for is to see a fox killed. You're quite right. The management of the fox population is a byproduct, and a very effective one, of hunting. The only person who's really trying to catch the fox is the huntsman. There's only one huntsman. He's the man who controls and guides the hounds, and his assistant, the whipper-in. Other than that, as you say, people are out for dozens of different reasons, but not to see a fox killed. But the answer is hunting will thrive again after repeal. More people will hunt again, and the fox population will be raised again, and everyone will be happy. But we're not so naive to think that hunting would start again exactly as it was. I think to give our members of Parliament and our prospective members of Parliament argument with their constituencies, the case we're going, and also keep the public and the media, make them realize we take this very seriously. We are in the process at the moment of setting up a regulatory authority for hunting, an independent regulatory authority. So the management and the disciplinary side of hunting would be managed by the various associations, including the Masters of Foxhounds Association, but this would be overseen by an independent authority, and if they didn't agree with what the associations had done, they could intervene. And so this would mean that it wasn't entirely self-regulation, it would be independent regulation.
Okay. Now, it's interesting because you said you had 184 packs there in England, and just to give somebody a perspective, in the United States, if you live in the United States, England's much smaller than the United States land-wise, and we have 174. So per the amount of land you have a lot of packs.
Virtually all of England, that isn't urbanized, is hunted over by a pack of foxhounds.
Are you having the problem then with developments being built and also the reduced amount of land available for hunting, the same as we're having here, or is that less of a problem?
This has always been the case. Of course, development is much more controlled in the United Kingdom than it is in the United States, because I mean, coming over as a visitor, as I do to the States, it saddens me that some of your towns expand quite so quickly, and the roads can carve up the country quite so quickly. But of course, you've got much more land to play with than we have. Dangerous and unwise to hunt in places where you could cause an accident or indeed upset people where you're not welcome, because the hunting in England is highly organised, and that everyone in that area you're hunting has to be told. Much more complicated, I suspect, than the wide open spaces of the United States, where you'd have fewer landowners in the area you're hunting in a certain day. I mean, some
Well, it depends on
areas
what part of the United States we're talking about, because in
where Helena lives is
yeah, we have a big part of our hunt secretary's job is a lot of the public relations goes into calling the landowners, and we can't go out without someone who's in charge of road crossings.
And that's part of the reason I think that Helena, that Myopia does a drag hunt, is because they have to keep controlled where they go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have to give, we have a wonderful new huntsman named Richard Emmett, who is doing a fabulous job in as closely reproducing a live hunt as possible in terms of getting the hounds working.
I know Richard, because he came from England.
Yes, he did. We are very happy to have him. We are so happy to have him. And he's really showing our field a lot about how well you can do, how well you can watch hounds work on a scent, on a drag line. So
that's good.
Yeah. I think he's going to open up some new avenues for those of us here in the States.
Excellent.
But it's true, we can't, because we don't have the open space, we don't have the contiguous open space to follow live quarry versus Virginia, the mid-Atlantic states, down south, even the central part of the United States. You do have single landowners with much more space. There's not as much administrative stuff you need to do.
And of course, when you get down to the deep south, it's even more so.
Right. So I have a question. You mentioned other type. There's the English foxhound, and then also you mentioned packs of beagles and things like that. Do they actually hunt on horses with other types of hounds?
Yes.
Really?
The horse packs are the stag hounds, of which there are only 3 packs in England, all in the West Country. They hunt the red deer. And then you have the beagles that are hunted on foot. But the harriers also hunt hares. They're slightly bigger. They're followed on horses. Not all the foxhound packs. Most of the foxhound packs are followed on horses. A few up in the north of England and in the hills are followed on foot. The mink hounds are followed on foot. So yes, it's entirely mixed.
Huh. I didn't know that.
I'd never heard of a mink hound before, and I thought I knew most of my hounds.
Well, they used to be, traditionally, they were the old otter hound packs.
Oh, okay.
When the otters were a pest on the river, and they hunt in the summer, when there were massive otters, then, of course, due to modern farming in the 60s and pesticides, the otters became very scarce. And about the same time, the mink farms that were farming mink, the American mink, I might add, for fur, 1 or 2 of the animal rights organizations raided these farms and let them out. Well, of course, they wreaked absolute havoc because the American mink is a very fierce animal, and,
yes,
and the otters then completely disappeared, and so did a lot of the riverside wildlife.
Well, that worked, didn't it?
So, I mean, that's typical. But so as a result, nowadays, luckily the otters are coming back, which is good. But the hunts, again, before the ban, of course, were hunting mink, which were a complete menace, and everyone agrees that now. So nobody's opposed to them. But, of course, they, again, cannot hunt officially because of the Hunting Act.
Right. So, well, usually when somebody tries to do something, quote-unquote, good, it results in something bad.
That's certainly true over this act.
Yeah, that happens usually because they don't always think about the consequences that come after by not doing something.
But we have great connections with the United States. I mean, certainly doing my job, I've been able to make friends all over the States, and there is a great connection, firstly with hound breeding. We've been using American breeds of hounds in England because they have excellent noses, because they've been bred to hunt under much more drier and more difficult scenting conditions than the English hounds. And, of course, English hounds are often used in the United States as well. So there's a great crossing of hound breeding. And we have American judges come over here to judge our hound shows in the summer, just as the English judges go to America.
Well,
that's great.
Will a pack use both English and American hounds, or is it one or the other?
No, a lot of the American hounds now are called crossbreds and are just that.
Okay.
They're the best of the English breed and the best of the American, and I hope have the best of both qualities. And it is those crossbred American hounds that by and large have been used over here to great advantage because of their wonderful noses and voices. So, that's been a great success.
We appreciate you being on today. It's good to learn about what's going on over there in England and to know that you guys are still fighting the fight. Keep in touch with us, all right, and let us know. You have my email address now. Let us know what's happening and keep us informed of any changes that go on, and we'll get you on again then.
We'll certainly do that. Delighted. It's been lovely talking to you both.
Well, Lena, that was fun to have Alistair on. It's always fun to call overseas and have them sound like they're sitting in our living room.
It was great. And he sounds so official, doesn't he?
I know, he does. I could just picture him. Just like we had pictured those books that we talked about.
Do you think we offended him?
I don't think so. I think he said they do have leather-bound books. So I just pictured the little guy like on Bob Cratchit. Like sitting there with a little quill pen and the leather-bound book. I just pictured that. I'm sure that's the way it was.
By candlelight, no less.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of Bob Cratchit, with the holidays right around the corner, there is no better gift idea for you and your friends and your loved ones, and that's a custom sign from EasySignsOnline.com. Whether you're did you notice how I transitioned right into that? Wasn't that good? I'm getting better at that.
Yeah.
No, we do appreciate Easy Signs Online. They support the show. We wouldn't have the show without them. So whether you're looking for a stall nameplate or spending thousands of dollars on an entry sign to your farm, Easy Signs Online is your place, and that's the letters EasySignsOnline.com. They're the leader in quality and price and farm signs in the United States. And they also have some great stocking stuffers this year with equestrian car stickers and nameplates for your stalls and things like that. So you can check them out at EasySignsOnline.com or call them at 800-640-8180. Yeah, so I thought that was fascinating. I think it's I do think, I was kidding with you guys earlier, but I love watching fox hunting.
Yeah,
I think
it is.
Great.
It's as nice a sport to watch as it is to participate in.
Right, I agree. I think it's a lot of fun. So, Cami, tell me, why do you hunt?
Well, I think being out with the hounds is the exciting part of what's different between fox hunting and going for a trail ride. Is that you're working with the hounds and you're watching them work. But more importantly is probably that it's just a really fun social day out. And as a stay-at-home mom, there's just nothing like getting to spend a whole day on Saturday with my horse and with friends and doing something that I love doing.
And the adrenaline rush has nothing to do with it?
Well, the adrenaline rush is pretty good, I guess. Flying toward a 4-foot stone wall and, landing safely on the other side has a good feeling, yeah.
Now, is that where cross-country, in eventing, cross-country really was a byproduct of hunting, wasn't it? As I understand it from years ago.
I have no idea. Makes sense, but they're out by themselves. They're crazy.
They are crazy out by themselves.
Why would you want to go out all by yourself?
That's a really good question. There's this the big question in hunting is, do you hunt to ride or do you ride to hunt? And when you see these discussions go back and forth between friends and online, it's different for everybody, and I think it's split half and half. Some people really want to hunt and see the hounds work, and if they're on a horse, that's fine, or if they're on foot, that's fine too. But I think for me, and it sounds like for Cami, we're hunting to ride.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
one of
the parties are good too.
I was just that's one of my questions. Hold on to that thought. Getting back a little bit to Alistair, obviously he doesn't like drag hunts at all. He made that pretty clear. But my wife preferred a drag hunt only because she said the live hunts, you actually, if the hounds were not on a scent, you'd spend a lot of time standing around doing nothing.
Yeah.
And the one thing she said about, and I don't know if you guys disagree, is that the drag hunts were always so much faster.
Yes.
Faster, and I think maybe this is just, in our little world of having to have organized time, you have a more predictable start and end time and location. So you get to make it back to the party in time, which is, as we said, is part of the fun.
So do you still carry those little sandwich boxes with the flasks in them?
Oh, absolutely. Well,
okay.
Everybody has their own way of doing things. I would say. My sandwich box actually has peppermints for my horse in it.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Does
a
it,
great idea.
no flask?
That's my little treat and bribery for him. I carry a flask inside my coat, but I am one of the very people anywhere in fox hunting world who carries lemonade in her flask.
So, Helena, what do you carry in yours?
Water.
Water. Oh, okay.
Oh, you're like me. Well, most people,
because
let's be honest, what do most people carry in their flask?
booze.
Port, brandy, sherry,
Okay,
whiskey.
having attended a few of the Myopia hunts, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
And there are a few of them that drank it all before they even started, and probably had to refill it.
Yeah.
Well, it is cold out there, and it does take the edge off. Like I said, your hands shake, and things get a little crazy, and it's understandable. But I get so jacked up that my mouth goes dry, and I just all the water in my body just seems to disappear, and so I find myself after like the first good run, I'm desperate for water. So I try.
And I've seen you drinking, Helena. You can't handle much.
I can't.
No.
I have a glass of wine, I'm on the floor.
she had 2 swigs, and she'd be falling off at the next jump.
I like to wait until the stirrup cup at the end so that we can, once you're down and off the horse.
Now, what's a stirrup cup?
The stirrup cup is the party at the end of the
that's
hunt.
what it's called?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I don't know why they call it a stirrup cup. Do you know, Cami?
Well, they used to serve the drinks in these. They still have them. I actually have a little collection of. They're pewter glasses with a fox head that tips if you place it upside down, so the cup is open. It rests on the fox head, and those are called stirrup cups. And they used those so that a rider could balance them in their hand easily and drink from the saddle. So it's truly a stirrup cup.
Oh, okay. The name stirrup because they were drinking while riding.
Yeah. So you would be on your horse at the end because normally, I think back in the, early English days of hunting, the landowner whose property you just rid of a bunch of foxes would serve you something afterwards as a thank you, and so you would still be on your horse and you would have your drink, and then you would head off back to your home. And now, of course, we put our horses in trailers, and we have plastic cups, and we're on our feet.
That's because we've been drinking port for the previous 3 hours.
So tell us about Myopia Hunt. Tell us a little of the history of Myopia, and we'll let everybody know that's just north of Boston, almost along the coast north of Boston. Give ideas where it is.
Yes. Well, it actually started in Winchester, interestingly enough. The first kennel was in Winchester, but they moved, I don't know exactly when, they moved up to Hamilton, where it is now. But it's one of the older hunts, and it has a lot of great history.
The Myopia Hunt did start off in Winchester, but it actually started off not as a hunt, but as a baseball team.
Well, doesn't myopia have something to do with eyes?
Well, because the team of players, the fellows, were nearsighted. So
it does have something to do with eyes.
Right, so they were the Myopians, and that's how the name came about. And then when they moved the club to Hamilton, and this is the part, I've never been able to find this out. I'm sure there's somebody out there who knows, that they switched from baseball to fox hunting. Now, how you make that leap, I have no idea, but it was made. And
we should say now it is a very exclusive country club. Myopia is a very exclusive country club, and one of their big things, they do hunting, but one of their big things also is golf. It's become and I think actually one of the, I think it's how some very big golf tournaments over the years, back 100 years, have been held there. So
yes, the U.S. Open, the first U.S. Open was held there in 1908.
Oh, really?
The course was designed by, I think, a fellow by the last name of Leeds, which is a big thing. I should know this because my father is a crazy golfer. But so yeah, Myopia, and it's rated as one of the top 10 private golf courses in the country over and over and over again. So it is a great place to play golf. One thing I want to make note of, which I think is kind of important, but I'm not sure why, is that from the very beginning, Myopia was a drag hunt. It's always been a drag hunt.
Oh, really? Okay.
And actually, I do know why. It's because the subscribing members at the time didn't have the time to do an all-out live hunt. Like Cami was saying, in our lives of of organized time. We need to have a predictable start and end time,
Well,
a
how
location.
long will you ride in an average, even in a drag hunt like yours? How long will you ride for?
On a Saturday in the formal season, 3 hours.
Okay, so when you include the party and everything after you're and getting there, you're probably looking at 5 or 6 hours out of your day just for a drag hunt.
Yes.
Right.
So a
Right.
live hunt could even go longer than that if they get on a line and you get further away from home. And is that a
Yeah.
hound?
That's not a hound. That is a corgi.
Oh, okay. A long way from a hound.
Oh no, corgis had some kind of hunting purpose, didn't they?
Probably.
Every dog's got some.
No. They're herding dogs. They
There,
herd.
that's-
They,
okay.
Oh,
they
right,
do like
okay.
sheep herding.
Right. Okay.
They would herd the fox.
Yeah, they try and get them to come home to bed.
So why did do either of you know why the Thanksgiving hunt became so popular and has become such a spectator sport and all of that up there?
Well, I think that it's so popular because it's the finale. It's the grand finale of our
Okay.
formal season.
Okay.
So we start in September and we go through Thanksgiving as our real formal season, and we have 4 what we like to call the high holy days. We have the opening meet, the blessing of the hounds, the joint meet, and then Thanksgiving. So those are so it's the culmination of a good season. It's also when they award colors.
Okay, what's that mean?
Well, that's when the people who have been hunting regularly for a number of years and who have provided service to the hunt in some form, whether it's volunteering or leadership of one sort or another, if they're awarded their colors, they're
Do they get the red coat?
the men get their scarlet coat.
Okay.
He doesn't learn fast, does he?
No, he resists it, Cami.
The women, men and women both, put on the hunt's color on their collar, on their top collar. The Myopia Hunt is a kind of a buff canary yellow color. The men have it on their scarlet coat. The women have it on their black or navy coat.
Okay. Now, explain to me the difference between the master and the huntsman and the whippers in and all that stuff.
The master is the head of all of the hunt activity. So he's the one who's encourages membership and subscribers. He's in charge of the huntsman. He's the head honcho. He's the CEO of the
Okay,
hunt.
gotcha.
Or
It's
she.
a very honored position.
Are there she's, or was that traditionally a man's thing, or
There
No, there
are
are
she's.
there are she's? Oh wow.
And there are joint MFHs too. There are several hunts that have 2 people serving as master.
Okay.
Some 3 actually.
Yeah, and it's a quite honorable. It's somebody who has probably hunted all their life, who has a great deal of time to invest in it because it's quite a time-consuming job.
Yeah.
The whipper we go to huntsman next. The huntsman is in charge of the hounds. His main purpose is to be in charge of the hounds, their well-being, their feeding, their training, their breeding. I don't know, and he's the one that takes care of them all year long.
And
What else would you add to that, Helena?
Yeah.
Um,
and
he's
we
sort
talked about that a little bit. Wasn't that, Helena, what Alistair was?
He was both. He said he was an MFH at 21. He was a huntsman. I'm not sure if he said he was a whip or not.
Right.
But if the MFH is, I mean, there are times where you can have dual roles. You can be huntsman and MFH, but like if you look up a member hunt, they'll list the staff, and sometimes they'll have the MFH and his or her name, and then they'll have the name of the huntsman, and in parens they'll say PROF, which stands for professional. So some hunts actually employ a professional huntsman in addition to their master, their
Which
MFH.
means they actually get paid to do the job.
Right, and so their responsibilities are a little bit broader and a little bit deeper than an MFH when it comes to the hounds. Like Cami said, a huntsman's responsible for the hound care, training, breeding, hunting. He is the one who actually sets the hounds off on a line. The huntsman casts the hound. So, yeah.
Is he the one that blows the trump? What's it called?
He or she.
Horn.
The horn.
The horn. Yes. Okay. So they're the ones that do that. And do they also basically they're in charge of the riders that are out that day as well?
Nobody's in charge of the riders.
Well, no, the MFH would be more in charge of the field, what they call the field of riders.
And there's two fields, right?
Masters.
Isn't there like two fields of riders, two groups? One that's the fast group, and then the other that stay back and not do a lot of the big jumps.
Yes, and that's actually what they call the hill-topping field.
The hill-toppers. Okay.
The people who go around behind, like you were talking about, are just the caravan of cars.
Okay. So the hill-toppers are the riders who don't necessarily do the jumps, but they're along for the ride out.
Right. And they oftentimes are up on a hill watching the first field doing a run and a series of jumps, and they take a slower pace, and they'll sometimes just stand and watch.
Right.
Okay.
So they watch either you'll hear first field or first flight, and different hunts may have different fields. So like one hunt might have 3 fields: first flight, second flight, and then hilltoppers, where the first flight jumps everything and at full speed, and then maybe second flight might take a slightly slower pace, or they might go around a few jumps. So it depends on the individual hunts how many fields they have. And then you have in each field there's a field master who is sort of the leader of that particular field. So like in our case, the hill-topping field master will lead the hill-toppers to a strategic place on a hill, like Cami said, so that you can see the hounds working in the first flight jumping, that's what's cool about hilltopping, is not only do you get to ride, but you get to spectate as well. So you get to enjoy both sides of the hunt when you're a hilltopper.
Well, I have a story about myopia, and I want to hear your crazy stories. What's the weirdest things you've seen on a hunt? But my story of my first experience with the myopia hunt was my wife had what actually was the barn manager up at the Myopia Hunt Club, and she had just taken the job. We just moved to Massachusetts. I swear it was, Helena, you could probably help me out. It was probably the first week she was there. They went out. What are the hunts called before you get into the serious hunts? The
Roading.
Oh, like
roading
and roading, yeah.
Yeah, where they're teaching the hounds and things. So she goes out roading, and I'm at home. We just moved there, and I get a call from one of the members of the hunt saying, "Your wife's at the hospital."
Oh.
She had. You remember
yes.
this? It was like the first week she was there. So
yes.
I get a call. I didn't even know what a hospital was. I had no idea because we just moved there. So I go find the hospital where she had fallen off and broken her arm on her
Wait
first
a minute,
week
no,
on the job.
she did not fall off.
Oh, she got bucked off. Yes, she got bucked off.
The woman was riding a bucking bronco. She picked a spot and she bailed.
Yeah, apparently she stayed on for the full 8 seconds. She would have won the rodeo because this horse was apparently bucking to beat the band, and she stayed on for quite a while.
It's funny because, and he was young. In his defense, he was still a little young at the time.
Oh, he was a nut job.
And the first group had gone off, had galloped off and left the second group behind, which sometimes happens, and he just was having no part of being left behind. And she was trying, not knowing this horse very well, she was trying to decide whether or not it was a good decision to let him go or to insist on holding him back. Well, he made the decision for her, took her on a little bit of a roller coaster ride. And people had said to this day that they've never seen anybody ride so many bucks, such big and so many bucks. And then she finally decided to save her own life. She got away with just a broken
And this
wrist.
was a big horse. He was like, if I remember right, 17 or 17.2 or something. He was big.
Yeah, Cami, you know Perry.
Oh, my, that was Perry?
Yeah.
Yes, that was Perry.
I never let her ride Perry after that.
She was not the first stable manager there to break some bones on Perry. He had a little bit of a reputation.
Oh, my.
I
But
think
he
it was the
outgrew it.
initiation for the stable managers.
He's a wonderful horse, and he outgrew that little issue, I have to say that, in his defense. But yeah, you're right. That was like the first week.
And she was back to work like the next day with her cast on. She was.
Oh, my.
She had been an eventer, so breaking bones was no big deal.
Yeah.
So describe to us what wild, crazy things you've seen. What was the
What's
wildest
the craziest thing you've seen out there, Cami?
Oh, my gosh. Well, lots of falls, lots of people, falling, taking a jump before the horse, landing on the other side, the horse standing on the other, behind the jump. I don't know. Isn't that usually what the crazy things are, or they're the dramatic falls?
Yeah.
I had one good one. I had one when I very first bought my horse, and I landed on my head, And I swear, I got up and I was like, how did I get here?
Oh, no.
Is this my horse? Because I just bought him that week, and
Oh,
I just
geez.
started. And so I don't think you get through riding in general, but fox hunting in particular, without having at least one good story of, a spectacular fall.
Yeah.
Trying to think of some other crazy things I've seen out there. The hounds always do something crazy. I mean, they're pretty fun.
Now, do any of them ever just run away? I mean,
yeah.
Or do they want to stay with the pack so much they don't?
If they get a scent, if one of them picks up a scent and is hell bent on following it, they'll take off. And you might not see them until, hopefully somebody tracks them down later that night, but it could be the next day. They're trained and are supposed to respond to the huntsman's horn and the whippers in, and the whippers in will ride off to try and collect them back. But they might.
Isn't that the main job of a whippers in? We never got to the whippers in. Isn't that the main job of them is to collect the stray hounds?
And to corral them, to keep them, with the huntsman. They have the long whips, hence the name.
Isn't there a rule too that you're not supposed to ride in front of somebody, or if you're a
Well, you
rider?
were asking about who keeps track of the riders. And
yeah.
The huntsman, the hounds, and the whippers in are at the front. The field master, whether it's the MFH, the master, or whether he's appointed somebody else to be field master that day, is the one who rides behind the hounds, and they need to know what distance to stay away from the hounds, so they're not, riding right up on their tails.
But it's a bad thing if your horse takes off and goes way in front of the pack.
Oh, yeah, you would really not want to show up to the stirrup cup that night.
Or maybe you would and you want to imbibe. You want to seriously imbibe.
And there's another tradition. If you fall off in the hunt, you are supposed to bring a bottle of port to the field master. That is like
You're the one that is. Shouldn't he be bringing you the port?
Isn't that called the Dirt Club? I think it's called the Dirt Club.
I think it's called it's called bribery.
Isn't it the it's like the carpet club, but it's the sod club or dirt club. Oh my gosh, I'm totally spacing on what that's called. But if you fall off, you've caused a delay in the hunt. Potentially.
Okay.
You've like created a little bit of havoc, especially if your horse runs off. And then everybody has to go around screaming, "Loose horse!" And and you're there doing
what to do?
You do what we like to call the walk of shame. That's where you have to go collect your horse. And then, worse yet, you have to try and get back up into the saddle without a mounting block.
Have you ever fallen off during a hunt, Helena?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you've done the walk of shame?
Well, no. You see, I got right back up on my horse. That little bugger ran up. I had to hang out with his friends, and so my walk of shame was very short, but I got back on him as quickly as I could. Yeah, we were going at a full gallop, and he spooked at a coop. He's one of those horses that spooks when things change, when things go from one line of vision to the other. Bright white stuff and shiny things. So we passed a coop at a full gallop, and I hit the dirt so hard.
It's not funny there. I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny now.
It's not funny. I know it is funny now. I still walk a little funny from it. So but it's like we fox hunters wear our scars like badges of honor.
You know what? They talk about eventers being nuts. They aren't half as nuts as the fox hunters. I mean, you guys are going crazy, jumping over jumps you haven't looked at before in a lot of cases. It's a little different where they get to go out and walk the course first. You don't get to walk the course first.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, and you're riding in a pack.
Do you know what? That's more of it than anything. I really think. I think that the jumps that you come to, your horse is either gonna be a ring weenie where he likes to see vertical jumps on on rails on poles, or he's gonna be a fox hunter who would rather face a 3-foot stone wall. Mine happens to be the one who would rather face the 3-foot stone wall. They're good about that part. That's not whatever scares me. I think what it takes to be a true fox hunter is to have the horse that will work with a huge herd of other horses and be able to keep their
riders with flasks
and still listen to his riders. So no, Cami actually has the best field hunter ever. Whenever
Really?
I go
What do
out,
you
I
have?
put my horse right up that horse's bum because he's the best bumper in the world. But I think Cami makes a really good point because it's not so much the jumps. If you can ride and if you can jump stuff, that's not the scary part. It's going all out with a horse who's listening to his herd. You better hope that that horse is going to listen to you if you decide to rate him, or duck out. I don't know what's on the other side of that fence. Some horses will just keep going, whether you want to go over that fence or not. And that may be a good thing, but you have to be able to. Some people are control freaks when they ride, and you have to be able to let your horse make some of the decisions. And on the flip side, your horse has to trust you enough to let you make some of the decisions. And, one of our long-term members, Patrick Keogh, said this so eloquently recently that it takes quite a few years to make a truly good field hunter. 4, 5, 6 years to really get that kind of horse that you can trust and have a great time on every time out. So,
and that's what happened with Perry, right? I mean, he's been doing it for. I mean, he had all those antics with your wife, Glenn, but he's now one of the top horses out there.
He's absolutely.
Really? Well, that's interesting.
And it was great that she stuck with him because you have to see the potential in the animal and then work with it, not give up, and have common sense.
Yeah. I loved Perry's owner, Pam, right?
Yeah, she's fabulous.
She was great. I didn't like Perry much.
I did not know him back then. He is an amazing animal now. I have never seen the horse refuse.
Well, Helena, you're going to have to tell Pam that her horse was the highlight of a podcast and make sure she listens now.
Oh, she'll be excited.
Hi, Pam.
She'll be excited. She'll be very excited. He's a really handsome horse too, and her mom has a horse. And this is what's so great about fox hunting is her mom is I don't want to say how old she is, but she's senior, very senior to me,
senior.
And she still fox hunts. And they're two horses. Pam's mom's horse is a big chestnut named Chief, and then Perry's a bay, and I used to call them Biggie Fries and Biggie Shake. I'd have to turn them out overnight, and I had the chestnut, it was Biggie Shake, or Biggie Fries, and Perry was Biggie Shake. And, I could pass either one of these women on the street and say, Biggie Fries, and, they'll totally know what I'm talking about. People kind of look at you like, what? That's what fox hunting does. It brings people together on a level that's just, even through the pain and the fear and the excitement, it bonds you so tightly. Everybody, when you're out on your horse and you're going, everybody's the same. The playing field is level. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much education, where your kids go to school. Everybody's in it together. And I find, particularly for me when I'm out there hunting, I feel very connected to my fellow riders. It feels like there's always somebody out there watching your back.
Absolutely, and there's you're communicating the whole time with them. You're talking about which jump you're going to. Are you going to take the gap? You might be right up against somebody. Their horse might have a slower pace. You're like, I'll take the right side, and you jump together. There's just constantly talking. I don't know of anything else you do with horses where you're doing that other than maybe polo, where you'd be talking to everybody else and going at this incredible pace and flying through the countryside. If you're a stadium jumper, all you're doing is rating your horse and getting the perfect spot. That doesn't happen in fox hunting. You're just hoping, you rate them a little bit and you try and get to a good spot, but you got to trust that in a field of 100 other horses, you're all going to make it over that jump without crashing into each other and fly off on the other side and through crazy countryside. Is that kind of how you feel, Helena?
Yes, I'm totally listening to you in awe. I'm like, yes, that's it.
Thanks. And guys, I hate to tell you this, but we're actually a little bit over time right now. We've just had so much fun here talking about, and Helena, I'm glad you're not passionate about fox hunting. You can definitely tell that Helena is passionate about fox hunting, and Cami also, and it's just been a lot of fun talking about this. And we're going to have to do another show on fox hunting to get into a little more depth, and maybe do a round table with a whole bunch of fox hunters. But It was
need
fun
more
to
than
talk
an hour
about
for
it.
that one.
And you guys only have a day and a half till the big day, so that's
Yeah.
kind of exciting. Cami, we appreciate you being on with us today. Hang out here for a minute. I just wanted to mention to everybody that that listened to the last show, the show that we did with Rod's Western Wear, the gift buying show that we did last week. We had a little contest where I'm going to give away some pink overalls. Rod's actually has pink, bright. Would you say bright pink, Helena?
No,
Bright?
no, not hot pink. They're pink. They're
They're
not.
very pink.
But
they're-
they're like a pale pink. They're just
Yeah.
pink.
And they're coveralls that you wear in the barn. So I challenged the women of America to write to me and tell me why they deserve to win these pink coveralls, and I'll give a pair away next month. And I got some entries, and I wanted to read two of the top ones. And you can still go to stablescoop.com and go to the Rods link up there at the top of the page, and you'll see the entry, what you have to do to enter for the pink coveralls, and there's still time to enter. But I wanted to read two of them to you, and again, we encourage anybody to send us emails at geeks@horseradionetwork.com. First one was a little lighter than the second one, but it says, Glenn, let me introduce you to the winner of your contest. My name is Deanna
Mendieta.
Mendieta. Her name rhymes. And all I wear is pink. I live on a ranch, and even my horse wears pink. My fishing pole is pink. My tackle box is pink. My mud boots pink. My camo pink. My suitcase is pink. My nursing bag pink. I am known as the pink nurse. I work with elderly, and sometimes they cannot remember my name, but they always remember that I am the pink nurse. My leather gloves pink. My spur straps pink. My cowboy boots pink. My frying pan pink. Her frying pan pink.
Oh. She cooks. She has time to cook.
Anyway, my measuring cup's pink. All my ball caps pink. My bathroom is pink camo. You can just picture this house. My kitchen bowl's pink. My obsession with pink started long ago when I realized that pink was my color and is also my happy color. Sounds weird, but true. As the years have passed, I am 45, soon to be 46. I don't know if she wanted me to read that part. Pink has served a purpose. No one else takes anything of mine. Why? Because it's pink, and everyone knows it's mine. A surefire way to ensure my fishing tackle stays put is always buy pink. Yeah, no guy's going to steal pink fishing pole. So I need those pink overalls so everyone will leave mine alone, and I will be warm when I go to cover my horse with his beautiful pink blanket. So
Nice.
that was from Deanna. So that one was high on my list. I think, Deanna, if you send in a picture of you covered in your pink holding your pink fishing pole, that might help too. Also, the second one was a little less fun than that one, but nonetheless was on top of my list. Hi, Glenn. There are a couple of reasons I'm interested in those colorful coveralls. First, I am tough, and I am tough enough to wear pink. I believe promoting breast cancer awareness, as my mother is a breast cancer survivor ×2. I hope and pray that they find a cure as it runs in the family, and I have a daughter who I hope never has to go through what my mother went through. Second, on really mucky days, we have a lot of those here in Ontario, Canada. I have to borrow my husband's coveralls. His is a men's size large, and I'm a petite 5'1". It's not a pretty sight. Hey, I don't complain. It keeps the mud off my clothes and saves me from extra laundry. Thank you for the chance to enter. I hope you have a great day. Sincerely, Tanya Hopkins. So there's Tanya up there. Just being in Ontario, Canada, I think she deserves pink overalls. But those were
Let's
two
just give pink overalls to all of Canada.
That's
Okay, just all of Canada.
So anyway, I just wanted to read those two, and you still have time. Go to stablescoop.com and follow the Rods entry link for the contest, for the giveaway, and you'll see the directions there to enter for the pink coveralls. Again, Cami, we appreciate you being on. We encourage everybody to listen in again next week for a new Stable Scoop show. Don't forget to subscribe through iTunes right there, the link right on our website, so that it's downloaded to your iPod or MP3 player every week. And you can leave us a voicemail at 270-803-0025. Both of you have a very happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you again next week. Helena?
We will be back with The Scoop.